So, master and student psychotherapist. This is Laura. I'm Jim. Welcome to episode whatever the hell it is, because I've lost count and I don't care. It doesn't matter, does it?
Nope.
Right. Last time we looked at belief systems and I was analysed by the master's degree holding Laura Dream, and made me a little uncomfortable, made me have a look at things. So that's good. So look, the next step to talk about is anger as a concept, right? Because I used to be uncontrollably angry human being. Nowadays I have a little bit better of a grip on it. I mean, you, I believe, have experienced anger in different ways. What are your core triggers for anger?
I would say my biggest trigger for anger is when I break my own boundaries. So if you said to me, Laura, could you give me a lift to Heathrow Airport at 9 o'clock tonight? And I go, yeah, I can do that, Jim. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. And I really don't want to do it. I am going to be really angry that I've got to do it. And that will come out in probably road rage. It's one of my favourites. So, yeah, when I do something that I don't want to do, that is my biggest trigger for anger. When I commit to doing something, so I break my own boundary. Because I don't like going out at night. I don't particularly like driving at night. I don't like driving to the airport very much. It's a ball ache, blah, blah, blah. So why would I say I'm going to do it? When I say that I'm going to do something that I really don't want to do, I get very angry.
Okay, turn that around a little bit. And why do you agree? Are you people pleasing?
Yeah, it's usually codependent. So I feel bad. I don't want to hurt your feelings. I don't want you to not like me. I want you to think that I'm a good person. So I'll agree to do something that I really don't want to do. Okay,
I get that. Well, just for clarity, I don't ever go to the airport, so don't worry.
Okay, good.
Okay, cool. I think my triggers for anger are... So, when somebody says they're going to do something and doesn't do it, not necessarily mate, but like, right, listen, we're all in the room. Me, George and Lee will have a production meeting, and everything we say we do because we know collectively we move forward. I go to quite a lot of business meetings and people blow smoke up my arse about things, about what they're going to do, how it's going to change, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Nothing happens. That makes me angry. Being let down makes me angry. Breathing in and out makes me angry sometimes, you know what I mean? So, what's the best way, right? And I know that this is a big, turbulent subject. What do you think your best way of handling anger? Say, well, you know, do you let it just go, road rage? Do you kick out?
I do sometimes. I'm not proud of that fact, but if ever there was a way that I'm going to act out my anger, it will be in the car. That's if I let it get to a point where I've kind of lost control, you know. So generally these days I try not to let it get to that point. Steve reminded me very kindly the other day about when we used to live in Enfield, and we lived in a particularly rough bit of Enfield, and his mate rang him up and said, yeah, your missus is outside, she's got out of her car, she's having a go at some bloke in a car. And it wasn't good, and it used to happen quite a lot, and it used to really worry Steve, and he used to say, one day you're going to do that, and you're going to do that to the wrong person, especially living where we live, you know, so can you please stop doing it, because it worries me. And so I've taken that on board, plus I'm a lot less angry than I used to be, so I generally don't let it get to that point anymore.
What was the initial reaction to him asking you not to?
Fuck off.
Yeah. Who the fuck are you to tell me what to do, kind of thing. Right, but it's lasted with you. That memory is something that still guides you.
I hate to worry Steve. I wouldn't, you know, I go out of my way to make sure that he doesn't have to worry about me in any way. So I really have taken that on board.
Is that, okay, I'm going to pick you up on that. Is that healthy to go out of your way? Do you see it as going out of your way, or is it just a phrase?
Well, I think it's you know, it's not a bad thing in as much as it's not good for me to be angry. It's not good for me to be getting out of my car and having a go at somebody. And, you know, so, you know, if it was a controlling thing, if he was trying to change me in a bad way, then I don't think it would be good. But I have taken it on board because it's not a good look, Jim. You know, I'm nearly 50 and getting out of my car, leaning in and, you know, it's just not a good look, is it?
No.
So
Also, you know, taking all emotion out of that, it's just not safe.
No, it isn't these days. Or
someone will stick a knife in your neck, or you know, all of that. I mean, that's the problem. You see, when you have an outlet that is negative and destructive, then you're in real trouble unless you realise it. But often it takes somebody who is close to you, or you know, or even not, just someone to go, what are you doing? Think about the big picture. That's the thing that echoes in my mind the whole time. Right? I was in a situation 2 weeks ago where, without giving any details, there was a threatening situation. Right? And somebody had stepped to me in anger, and I, instead of just dealing with it, which is what I'm used to doing, I stopped to think, and I said, right, what's the big picture? And I thought, what the fuck are you doing? Just get in there. And I went, no, wait a minute. And the bloke's talking shit at me. And it was about something that happened 10, 15 years ago that I wasn't even there, but apparently I'd ordered it or something. Oh, it was all just rubbish. This guy was pretty off his head. And then he swung a punch at me. And just before I reacted in course, I said, right, what's the point? Step back, he'll fall over, don't connect, don't engage. That's the first time I'd ever done that, and I'm like, right, okay. And then he went back. His girlfriend came out and started screaming at him rather than me. So that kind of validated that I'd been like, look, you know, what are you doing? And then I made the decision to help him rather than to hurt him. So I stepped forward, picked him up, and said, mate, what are you doing? And he went, oh, and then he burst into tears. And I'm like, oh, fuck's sake. Right, so I thought, right, you're a mess. And I said to his girlfriend, I said, are you sober? And she said, yeah, I haven't, you know. I said, take him home, coffee him up, get some rest, right? And then talk to him about what's wrong. Or get somebody else to talk to him because he's obviously in pain. And then I got back in the car, and obviously you don't think you're consciously thinking in this, but then I've looked at that situation. Now, I'm a bit of a blunt instrument, right? So I will just react with kind and deal with this situation and don't give a shit. Nowadays, apparently, I don't do that. Nowadays, I think, well, why are you in pain to do this? Why are you reflecting that on me? Why am I so focused? And I'll tell you why, because I was the biggest guy in the room, and he thought that actually he might get hurt, and that's what he wanted, which is sad. I don't know what happened. I don't care that much. I hope he's okay. You know, but these changes that we come across, I mean, obviously, I realise I don't want to be angry and violent. Also, you know, I don't want to go to prison. You know, I don't need that again. Thanks. I don't need to be in somebody's spotlight. I don't need to be away from my child and my family and my dog. I don't want that. So when you realise that there are consequences to your actions that can remove you from your life, and it's not about, oh, I'm a big hard man, because that is a big load of shit. Every single kid out on the street with a hoodie on and doing all that is a gangster these days. Everyone's got this gang mentality, and it's like, oh, come on. But I can see that because I've lived through it. They can't, they're in the moment, and they're loving the power they think they get from that. So anger, is it that I've just got older and a bit more grown up and I don't need to prove myself to anyone anymore? Or is it that I'm learning to cope with my triggers?
Maybe it's both. Maybe it's both. Maybe you're learning to cope with your triggers because you've grown up a bit and you're doing a bit of work on yourself. You've got more to lose as well, you know. Yeah. I think as you get older and you have more, you kind of become conscious that you don't want to lose it.
Yeah, and we're not talking about money or material. We're talking about family. We're talking about
self-respect.
Existence, self-respect, indeed. Yeah.
I don't want to be that person that gets filmed, because that's another thing. It's like everybody videos everything. Yeah. I don't want to be that person that goes viral. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's so embarrassing.
Because also, even if you're doing the right, well, violence is never the right thing, quite frankly. But if you're protecting yourself, someone can spin it that you attack them. You know, and this world that we live in, media, the internet, people, the anger that radiates out of social media. And I think, I just glanced at the Stansted Abbott's group, right? Because it's like EastEnders. Right, and this woman was ripping the crap out of somebody. Like passive aggressive, don't mention the name, but I'm really angry. Well, one, mention the name, right? If you're going to have the balls to do it, mention the name. Don't just fucking hide behind anonymity. But also, she was talking about my husband's lost her son, and you're ripping him up and doing all this and doing all that. And it's like, Jesus Christ, why would you put all this shit on the internet? Go round to their house, have a conversation. Right, but then they go, oh, well, that will lead to conflict. It's like, well, what? You want a keyboard warrior conflict? I mean, I don't think you can ever get rid of your core reactions.
Do you not?
But you can control them. Do you think? I mean, you can't get rid of anger as a natural reaction.
No, and I don't think you should, because anger is useful. But I think inside of everybody, there is anger inside of everybody, but it depends on how much you've worked on that anger as to how big it is inside of you. Your core of anger might be almost touching the surface, whereas mine might be that big. I'm not suggesting that is how it is, but if you've worked on your anger, then you're going to be less of an angry person. Okay,
let's get to the nitty-gritty student part of this. How do you work on your anger?
Because you talk about the things that make you angry.
What? Okay. I just wonder whether I'd know the triggers of anger, because it's kind of blanket, isn't it?
So that's where a good therapist will come in, is they will guide you to talk about the stuff that you probably don't even know you're angry about.
Do you know what? I'm sorry to interrupt. I just had a little flash of insight, and I think one of my major triggers is disappointment. So disappointment in other people, disappointment in situations. And disappointment in myself.
Yeah, and that would make sense when you said earlier about when people don't do what they say they're going to do. That leads to disappointment. Disappointment is a trigger for you to feel angry, because for you, probably, it's easier, it's more comfortable for you to feel anger than it is to feel disappointment, because anger makes one feel powerful. When I'm angry, I can feel big and strong and powerful. When I'm disappointed, I feel small, I feel sad, I want to cry. So my natural pathway would be just get angry about it, because I don't want to sit and cry about it. I'd rather get angry, take action, do something about it.
I think your core personality as well. I am a get up, get on with it kind of person with no emotion in it. But if somebody, I'm making things work in my direction these days. And I've always been like, right, okay, if you want to do it, stop talking about it. Let's go.
Yeah, but you also have to marry that up with the self-reflection stuff, like we talked about in another show. Is that it's great to be motivated and to take the action, but you have to partner that with the going inward. Why do I feel angry? Because anger is always a surface emotion. There's always something underneath anger, and it's usually hurt. Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. I suppose. The disappointment thing, that makes total sense. The only thing I was meaning by your base, core character traits are exacerbated by. So when I'm angry, I will be a lot more forceful in the way I deal with people.
But I would suggest, Jim, that is a defence. So you're getting into action. Is you defending against feeling that disappointment. So if I can get angry, I'll take some action, I'll do something about it, whatever that action may be. That is going to stop me from sitting still and going from anger to disappointment. Because disappointment is going to involve you feeling sad, probably, and maybe even crying. So to defend against that stuff, because no one wants to feel that shit, we get angry and we take action, and that's how we avoid that internal process of feeling disappointed and sad. And a therapist will let you have your anger, and then they will want to move you into what's underneath the anger. So they'll want you to feel the disappointment, the sadness, the hurt, that this person has let you down. What is it like to be let down, Jim? How do you feel when people let you down?
Right, so the best way to look at it is to look underneath.
Yeah, you've got to go through the anger to get what's underneath it. It's never about the anger. If you watch, right, when people like, I always think of this, when people have a near miss in a car, you know, the first feeling is fear, like shit, and then anger.
Yeah.
Because to stay with the fear is terrifying. So let's get angry, and then I can have a go at you because you were in the wrong, and da 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 da. It's like an almost unconscious process.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Anger is really powerful.
It is powerful, and it also, anger is one of the best masks for, you know, vulnerability, fear, upset, all of that. Because you push forward with anger,
Absolutely.
nobody can come anywhere near you.
Absolutely, 100%. So angry people are usually quite sad underneath it. There's usually a lot of hurt, a lot of pain.
Oh.
That's the self-reflection piece that you are yet to do, my friend.
Oh, God. Okay. So, okay. You're not, the point isn't, however, to get rid of anger, is it?
No, because anger's useful. Anger tells you when your boundaries have been crossed, either by you or by somebody else.
Boundaries set are one of the key things in mental health.
Yeah, it's about self-protection. You know, I'm not going to go outside of my boundary because it's not good for my mental health.
No. And, you know, boundaries aren't, what explain boundaries as a concept?
Well, so for example, like when I said about the whole, like taking you to the airport thing, which is never going to happen, by the way, but...
no, that's good.
Yeah. I don't like going out in the evening. Now, my friends take the piss out of me relentlessly about this because I've got a lot of trauma associated to being out at night.
Yeah.
And although it's been a long time since I've been engaged in any of that stuff, I still, when I get ready to go out,
You get anxiety.
my stomach bloats up, I feel sick, I start to panic, I start to sweat, my mouth gets dry. I don't like it.
No.
So one of my boundaries is, unless it's really fucking important, I don't go out in the evening. So if somebody says to me, oh, do you fancy going to the cinema Thursday night? My instant response is no.
Yeah.
I don't go out in the evening, I don't like it. So that's a boundary for me. Now, if I feel like I've really got to go to this thing in the evening, then I'll go. But I know that I'm crossing my own boundary and that I'm betraying myself to a certain extent. I know that sounds a bit Oprah, but I am. You know, I'm letting myself down a little bit because my boundaries, I don't like going out in the evening.
No.
So I will do it, but I know it will come at a cost to me emotionally if I do. So I know I'll probably need the whole of the next day to recover from it.
Right. But things like football matches, like if there's an evening, you're a big football fan, right?
I think football's slightly different.
Because you're in a tribal setting.
Yeah, and there's a purpose to it. You know, like the football I find very, very exciting. So I can get over the fact that I'm out during the evening because it's about the football.
It's not about you.
It's not about me. No one's looking at me because we're all looking at the football.
Is that the key, is it?
I think there's a lot of that in there. It's like, it's not, and that's my old ego stuff, is it's all about me. You know, people are going to be looking at what I'm wearing. Oh my God, my stomach's bloated because I'm anxious. People are going to notice, and what shall I wear? And does my hair look all right? But football's just football.
Yeah.
It's not about me.
No. Do you know, that's very telling as well. You know, you're in a situation where you're not sat around a table with 5 people having dinner thinking, shit, I can't eat that because people think I'm fat. That's in my head as well.
There you go, there's a belief system.
And I've had that all my life. And I'm starting now to realise that I do care about what people think, but I do also realise people don't think.
No.
Like, people aren't looking at me going, why are you so fat? Do you know, stuff like that. And that's a beautiful realisation. I'm still not there, because I haven't done any work on it apart from my own head, as you will probably tell me. But look, if you have insurmountable anything, there will be a coping mechanism that you can find, right? So there is hope for every single person that has some kind of issue, be it, you know, anger as a mask, be it, you know, I don't know, I can't think of anything else. My only go-to is anger, isn't it?
So mine is shame. So,
shame.
You know, whereas your go-to is anger, mine is shame. You know, if someone pulls me up on something, I will immediately go to shame. You know, there's something really terribly wrong with me. Whereas you will just go, anger, let's fight this thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, whatever it is, anger, shame, whatever, it can be worked on, it can be worked through.
So I think the whole point of being a psychotherapist or a helper or a helpee or whatever the hell you are, right? There is always hope in every situation. I have seen some of the worst, hopeless heroin addicts now come back from death to be fully functioning human beings, right? Who are now, you know, one of them has a wife and child, one of them owns his own business and is very wealthy, and you wouldn't know anything about it because he's gone through all the work with himself, and he lives in a nice little house and he lives on his own because that's how he wants it. But also, you know, he's philanthropic. He gives away, you know, stuff and all of this. But okay, I'm going to have to accept that I've got to do the therapy work.
Hallelujah.
Right? Otherwise, I'm not going to understand the full concept of that. This is master and student after all, you know, master and student psychotherapy. So you brought me round, and I genuinely, I'm not just doing this for the show, I genuinely understand that I do need to go to therapy. And when I can afford that, or when I can find a way to make that happen, I will. We have come to the end of our time. I'm sorry, Laura. Right. Get in touch with us, you know, if you've got any points to make. If you see anger as the best way to deal with things, tell us why. Tell us what you're doing. You know, we're not just here for us, we're here for you guys as well. Not in an I can save the world way, just in a you have a community of people you can talk to way. Because community is one of my buzzwords. Have a great day. See you soon.